Hello and a warm welcome to the Intel Extreme Masters here in Cologne in the ESL Arena, where all the League of Legends action will take place throughout the next 3 days. So a full weekend packed with awesomeness, which is going on here. We have 8 teams who will play it out for $50,000 overall prize money. And we split them in 2 groups, A and B. Today we're going to see the whole Group A. Tomorrow is going to be Group B. Both of them will be played best of 1. The top 2 teams will advance into the playoffs, where we have a best of 3 going on, which will take place on day 3, which is going to be Sunday. Now you're going to see the graphics so you can see what we'll expect us throughout the next few days. And of course, aside from the games, you also have other stuff going on. You guys at home can also participate and take place and have a part here at the wonderful event together with Phil Hübner and Nasroth. You can talk a little bit about the whole things. We have a little bit of an AMA going on, so you can write questions down in Reddit. Just go on Reddit /r/League of Legends. We open up a thread there, and you can just ask questions to pro players or anything. We will let you know in advance, so make sure to participate and take part of it. You can also win some stuff with a BenQ raffle going on, and for that you have to use Twitter. So just tweet with the hashtags SantaBenQ as well as the hashtag IEM. You have to include both those hashtags to actually win. You have to send us a picture of why you think you need a new BenQ monitor. So whatever you want to send us for a reason why we should give you the monitor, just do so, and don't forget to include both of those hashtags, and then you might have a chance of winning the whole thing. And yeah, apart from that, we also of course have our lovely casters, which is of course no other than Joe Miller, as well as But I Love You, aka Jason Kaplan, and those 2 guys will bring you all the action throughout the next 3 days.
Thanks a lot, Zoe. And Jason, I think it's going to be said a lot through Intel Extreme Masters Cologne, but I love you. It's actually been taken off your name down there at the bottom of the screen, but for those out there, you can see it on his Twitter name. He is in fact called Jason, but I love you, Kaplan. How are you doing today, Jason? Are you ready? Are you ready for Intel Extreme Masters Cologne? Yeah, I really am. I'm really excited to see these group stages. The teams we have, really high quality, really high caliber. Should be really great to cast, and not to mention watch if I ever get a chance to be able to do that outside of casting, but I'm excited. How about you, Joe? I'm pretty damn excited. I've been looking forward to this event for a long while. Obviously been traveling quite a lot, back-to-back events and all that kind of fun stuff. So I think we've talked long enough. I mean, 30 seconds of us is enough for anyone. So we're going to throw it back to Zoe, and we're going to bring the teams in.
Thank you very much, guys. Now I have the utmost pleasure of being joined by 2 very important guys. We have the suit of the IEM, Carmack, and of course we also have the Vice President of Esports from Riot Games, Dustin Redbeard Beck, who is joining us for a few quick words here right at the beginning. So let's talk a little bit about what can we expect from the whole event.
Well, first of all, we're debuting the ESL Arena here for Intel Extreme Masters, which I hope the venue will be home to many magnificent esports events for years and years to come. So everyone here should, I hope, consider themselves fortunate to be here and witness this. And of course, a magnificent, fantastic League of Legends tournament. And by the way, I'm just a director, he's the Vice President, and I'm the suit.
You are the suit. You're not really wearing a suit though, so where's the suit? No suits. We don't wear suits at ESL. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. So let's talk to a guy who is kind of wearing you're wearing a shirt. That's closer to a suit, I would say. What do you expect of the event? I mean, you've been watching in many events throughout the whole last year. What are you still looking forward to?
Yeah, well, you know, there's always great competition at IEM events, but I'm excited for this one. The studio, this is the first time I've seen it. It's awesome, and it's coming together really well. And, you know, it's interesting. There's a lot of new teams that have been formed by some pieces of older teams, and we're just excited to see them compete.
So, we are excited. Are you guys in here excited as well? That does sound like excitement. And aside from the casters and a lot of other awesome people, we of course have also the insight for you guys for the next 3 days. And this will be brought to you by Demon, Sanon, and also RNA.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Cool Kids desk. This is the analyst desk, and here I am joined by Aranea, of course, the jungler formerly of SK Gaming, and joining me once again is Daniel Zen, the Stoic Klein. So, well, what an event we're going to have to start with. We are here in Cologne. It's a little chilly. It's a little colder than Singapore. I'm not going to lie. It's the temperature difference is pretty much noticeable. No snow on the ground, though, so we're lucky.
It's nice and warm in here, though, so I think we should be fine. They do have heatings in these buildings, mostly.
They do have heatings in these buildings. So without further ado, let's look at the group stage. This, of course, it is an 8-team tournament. $50,000 up for grabs. It's a pretty big deal, this tournament, as well. Also, it's a qualification place for the finals, which will be at CBIT, of course, in March, I believe. So Group A, right there on your screens, it is SKTelecom. Brand new, picked up from Eat Sleep Gaming. They were qualified top of the group. Fnatic, Millennium, and Mousesports. Aranea, starting out with Group A. What are we expecting to see from Group A?
Oh, I think we see like Fnatic is going to be like the favorite. They came from IPL, placing second, losing against World Lead, and I think they are like the favorite probably of the full tournament. But I feel like SKTelecom is going to be like a really good team. They have a really good team, and Millennium is also a really good team. I feel like they have the all Eclipse team with some Curse guys, and they are a really strong team.
Well, you're in a prime position. Like, we're looking at Millennium. Obviously, they've merged out. They've got a couple of Curse EU guys, a couple of Millennium Eclipse guys. They've all sort of merged in within a week. It's kind of similar to how you guys were in Poland, I guess. You had the last-minute ditch effort. But you guys performed really well at Poland, which leapfrogged you onto the regionals. Do you think that could happen for these guys?
It will happen. Like, they have... The 80, of course, is probably one of the best 80s in Europe.
That's Kraton, yeah.
It's really, for me, it's the best 80 in Europe. And they have Angus in top lane. It's also one of the best top laners in Europe. They have a really good team. I really like that team. With some time, we could see that team on the top of Europe.
There's something that Ocelot was telling us in Singapore is that when you have a newly formed team, you have an initial high. You have this initial boost of motivation, so we might be seeing that as well. And here we are actually looking at SKTelecom now.
Yeah, I mean, SKTelecom, they are, like I said, they literally were picked up just before this event. The main people to mention on there is obviously Reaper, come across, used to be formerly a Zubu Blaze top laner, Horror as well, some fantastic players. How do these guys, you know, obviously we saw it within the European scene that the teams were formed and then slowly but surely the newer players creep through. This is possibly what's happening in Korea here. We've had the established Zubu Blaze, Frost. Now we're starting to see the new teams come through. Obviously, SKTelecom, we're going to see how they're going to perform. KT Rolster B coming through very strong. These teams are starting to pick off. Is it a similar situation to what happened in Europe?
Actually, I think SKTelecom, they are all formed players from all teams from Korea.
North America and etc. Yeah.
And I spoke with it was Peke who already play against them on Korea.
Right.
So they are like really known guys on Korea and America as well.
So is that a similar situation to say alternate? Maybe like the high-elo guys that have formed a team
getting together and just it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, and it's also great to see SKTelecom coming into the League of Legends team, the sports as well. So let's have a look at the other team. You can see they're going to be up against Mousesports. Daniel, you probably know more about Mousesports than I do.
Well, I do know a little bit more about Moma. Moma's been in the scene for a very, very long time. He was in a very early, Dignitas lineup back in CBIT
way back
2011.
Against all authorities at CBIT as well.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously he's going to be the AP carry in mid lane. Moma is a stunning player on a technical level. I think where his problem is going to be, how is he going to fit in the team? Is he going to be able to fit in with the team players? Is he just going to be making the plays, you know? And that works in solo queue, may not work so well in the tournament. So I think that is probably going to be the guy we want to be looking at mostly.
And they got Feliox in there, used to play for Fnatic as well, used to be supporting there. Anything you're expecting to see from these guys?
Nah, I don't know. It's going to be strange. It's not a really good team, like they're playing together so much, so I don't know. They have all former teams from other teams, like Redoyan was the jungler of SK. Moma was like AP mid of a lot of teams, like against all authority, like SK as well, he was playing there. So I don't know. They could do a good tournament, but I think SKTelecom is super.
SKTelecom, we think.
Yep.
I mean, both these teams probably don't know a great deal about each other. So how would you approach this game sort of tactically? Would it be a simple case of we're going to play our game, our style, the Korean maybe aggressive style as we move into the picks and bans?
Most of the standards you can. Like not trying to counter pick, not trying to do something against them, just trying to do your own game, your own style.
So
We are about ready to go into the picks advance here.
We are. We're going to get underway in a moment. So, I mean, what sort of bands would you go with? We're on, bearing in mind, people, we're on Season 2 patch here. This is the Z patch. Didn't want to go on to the Season 3 patch, of course. There's a new patch that come out, just hit you guys on Live Realm today. Obviously, balancing issues. But, you know, it's a bit unfair to launch this sort of thing onto the players, you know, as coming into a tournament. I mean, as a player, as you transitioned across the world to play in these events, these tournaments...
There we are.
There you go.
We got there eventually, but yeah, I mean, so as it were for you, as you to go around the world playing in all these matches, how did you deal with obviously the patch changes, having to jump around? Sometimes you wouldn't get time to practice for it.
Yeah, the hardest thing is when you have a patch just before a tournament. That's like the hardest thing. You have to like try to adapt to the new things coming, to the new changes, and it's really hard. Right now it's like the old patch, so it's pretty much everyone knows who is the OP champions, how to counter them, so it's pretty standard.
Yeah, and Rengar is indeed banned here.
I mean, it's no shock there, really.
The only thing I don't see normally is not Diana ban. We don't see a Diana ban, so I guess they use Led Diana.
Do you know if MoMA plays Diana?
I'm not sure. I think MoMA is more like a standard AP with like Cartus, with like Anivia, with that kind of champions. I don't see him playing that much Assassins.
Right, Lee, do you just want to run us through the bans real quick?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can see them on your screen there. It's Twisted Fate, Evelynn, and Zyra. No shock there. So it's going to be an Ezreal first pick for Mousesports. Anivia, Rengar, and Karthus. So actually, they've gone for standard sort of AP bans in the mid lane. Something they don't want to be up against, but they've allowed Lee Sin through, as well as Sona. And, you know, we've seen the Korean team so strong with Sona before. Expect to be awesome supports. They're always very, very good supports. I mean, I don't want to blow wind up Korea's skirts here, but honestly, every time they turn up in a tournament, the Korean teams do very well. Azubu Blaze was probably the lower placed tournament they've ever had, which was IPL 5, get the word right for it, in Las Vegas just 2 weeks ago now. The weeks are blending past. It's been a crazy year of esports, but what are we expecting? Oh, that's why they went for Ezreal. They wanted the Blitzcrank.
Ooh, I see. That could be a very, very interesting bot lane there. And obviously Xin Zhao going to go to the jungle there. Froggen has been playing some Xin Zhao mid, but I don't expect that to be
I don't
out
think
here.
he's going to play mid MoMA. Xin Zhao. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, so Xin Zhao in the jungle, something, obviously being a jungler, how do you regard him?
I think he's one of the strongest jungler actually, and that on the Season 2 on this patch is one of the strongest. Probably like Lee Sin, Xin Zhao are the strongest with Cho'Gath as well. It's like probably the strongest junglers at the moment. And they picked Leona.
Switch Leona. Now Leona, one of the very strong supports out there.
And it's actually a counter to Sona. Like Sona is all about healing and for a long team fights, long mini team fights in bottom. Like Sona is a counter to Lulu, Sona is a counter to Zyra because they deal so much damage, but you can heal. But with Leona, it's just go in and try to kill in 1 second. That's the way of Leona. It's a counter to Sona.
Full-on dive. Because Heart of Gold's still available in this patch as well, yep. So you obviously got to have that in there. There is the Diana and the Corki picked up. So Diana in that mid lane could be strong. I mean, this is before the nerfs.
Yep.
That should be a very strong pokey bottom lane for SKTelecom as well, of course, because Sona, very, very strong poke. Corki, obviously, probably...
And that's the counter of Leona. Like, against Leona, you can try to poke, but if Leona try to ghost on you, you cannot do nothing. There is no way to stop that.
So tell me about the bottom lane of Mouse. How much experience would they have playing together then? How long would they
I don't think they played... They didn't play that much lately. I mean, I saw Arthana. He was mainly playing top lane last day, so I didn't saw him playing so much 80s.
So we can see Shen may well get picked up here. We're just having a look, see who the final pick will be. What are we expecting to see here? What do you think? What was going to round out this composition in the mid? Gragas maybe.
Yes, some passive AP mid. Like just farming and waiting for the team fights.
How does
Cho'Gath?
How does Gragas do?
I was gonna vote for Cho'Gath. MoMA is training Cho'Gath all day long Cho'Gath.
Yeah?
Yep.
I mean, Cho'Gath is a very strong mid, and that's a heck of a tanky lineup right there.
Yep, really tanky.
It's true, yeah. Boston in the European office plays a lot of Cho'Gath mid. He doesn't do quite so well as these people, but of course the idea of Cho'Gath is that you cannot really easily push him out of lane.
My question here is, we know how the Koreans play. They're going to be aggressive.
Yes.
Look at the lineup they've got, that's aggression. How is that lineup they've got there? Is there enough damage to stop them taking your towers so early on?
I don't know. I feel like Korea with this combo, they have like full going.
Yeah.
Like use like Diana, like Lee Sin going, and probably we're gonna see
And Jax, yeah.
I was gonna say we're gonna see Jax, like it's full going, and it's not the same as Mousesport. Like Mousesport has Leona to go in, that's true, but Cho'Gath 10 is not that style. Like yeah, you can go in, but it's different. I don't know.
So, Team Comp set out there. You can see them on your screens. They're going to position themselves. What are we thinking? Who's got the stronger comp here? I mean, this is a pretty much a tank team versus basically a full-on damage team.
Yep.
So, who would win? In basically, what sort of levels? I mean, like level 1 fight, maybe. Obviously, a tanky team generally is probably going to do better there. They've got the Shen. You don't want to go up against the Shen at level 1.
No, level one. The Mousesport has better team, better comp. But then I feel like for me, the strongest jungler is Lee Sin. For me, the strongest mid lane is Diana. So it's like they have probably two of the most strongest champion in League of Legends. So I will vote for
arguably Jax up top as well, maybe.
It's stronger than Sen. In 1-on-1 is much stronger. Then you have to think that Sen has that teleport, that ultimate, that everywhere, but still.
So what does Mouse actually want to do with that lineup? Do you see any sort of theme running through the lineup? Do you see any idea that they could have behind the lineup? Let's see again. It was Ezreal, Sona, Cho'Gath in the mid. It was Shen top, yeah,
and Xin Zhao
jungle, yes.
The Xin Zhao is probably to stop the early invasion of Lee Sin. Like it's probably the only champion that can 1v1 Lee Sin. It's probably like Skarner, Cho'Gath, and Xin Zhao can 1v1 Lee Sin early game without like dying instantly, because all the other junglers just like get destroyed by Lee Sin. But Xin Zhao can 1v1 a bit. Not that strong as Lee Sin, because Lee Sin is probably like the strongest 1v1 at level 2, level 3. But you can compare. It's almost equal. And then in top lane it's gonna be like completely for Jax. Like Jax destroy almost every top lane.
Yeah.
It's just probably depending on the ganks of Lee Sin and Xin Zhao. We'll see. And then mid lane is gonna be like Cho'Gath, Diana. I will vote for Cho'Gath early game. He's really strong, Cho'Gath.
And top lane, can Shen just be safe and farm under tower?
Yes,
is that a possibility?
he can.
So that's probably what they're going to be looking to be doing. So it looks like a passive setup coming out of Mouston. Is that how I'm reading this? Okay.
And that's basically hoping for late game, I guess.
And then in team fights, what they have, like what Mouse have is like just focus one guy and kill him instantly. Like they have Leona CC. Is so much CC, so many stuns.
And if you can land that flare, get the rupture, just complete control.
Exactly. They're just probably gonna focus like Diana. Just like destroy Diana in 1 second with the Cho'Gath ultimate, with the Nom Nom, with the silence and so on. Like try to kill her in 1 second and then keep up the team fight. But for the moment, I guess like SKTelecom has better team comp. I prefer the SK one.
It'll be a tough game for them. We are, just so you know what's going on, we are in the Champions Select. Everything has been selected again. We are just waiting for the countdown to...
Yeah, so, I mean, if you just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be SKTelecom, the newly picked up Korean team. Used to be Eat, Sleep, Game. That's how they qualified. They won the qualifier against CJ Enters. CJ Enters in Group B. They will be on tomorrow. So all of Group B tomorrow, all of Group A today. Of course, in Group A, joining them is Mousesports, who they're going to be up against first, Fnatic and Millennium. So if you're unsure of who Millennium are, that's a newly formed team. It's Angus Creaton from Curse EU. Curse EU now disbanded. Also, a couple of members from Eclipse, Heidel in there. I'm So Fresh,
and
Tabs in mid lane, the famous Fizz player, I guess you could say, who never gets to play Fizz. It's a bit like Frog.
I hope he can play it today or tomorrow.
Well, we'll see. Maybe we'll see. It's one of those champions that we hope to get to see throughout these tournaments. They are, of course, playing for $50,000 here at IEM Cologne, as well as a place in qualification for that huge finals in Hanover in CBIT, which I believe is in March time. It normally is March. I'm pretty sure it's going to be March. And of course, if you remember rightly, Moscow 5, the retaining champions of that. Of course, we also have in Group B many top teams. Meteor Makers in there, who won in Singapore recently, as well as, of course, CLG EU and everyone else. So, without further ado, let's get into the game, ladies and gentlemen. Let's pass it over to Joe and Jason.
So here we go then, Mousesports versus SKTelecomT1, and actually Corky did disconnect at the start of the game, so I'm a little bit worried about that one. There he is reconnecting, so doesn't look like they, used the pause feature that we have in League of Legends for that one. Not sure exactly why they decided not to go for that one, but we'll figure things out in a little while. I'm going to rearrange the scoreboard here when we get a bit of free time, because we may see some early action, Jason.
Yeah, it looks like SK Telecom wasn't really worried about the DC since they weren't going to go for an invade here, but do you see Mousesports? Oh, Corky DC again then. Mousesports going for an invade here. They're trying to take this red buff away and really put Horo behind in the jungle, where at least nowadays he starts at the blue buff, then works his way down to red. As even in chat, they are sending a couple of messages, and
there we go.
There is a pause.
So we do have a pause then, which I expected. Obviously, if Corky's not going to get straight back in there, if something's wrong, then they'll obviously change that. See Mousesports here in the side of the ESL arena where we're at, and actually SK Telecom are in the arena itself up on the stage there. So they're actually spread a little bit out. Actually, the other team here behind us is Millennium, so that means Fnatic are also on the stage with SK Telecom. So a lot, Jason, of action today. I mean, Group A, as Demon said earlier on, all Group A today, all Group B tomorrow, and then on Sunday it'll all come together for those two best-of-3 semi-finals, and then the grand final right afterwards. But I didn't really ask you, who are your favourites for this one? I'm actually going to talk first here because I know exactly what you're going to say. SK Telecom, they've probably got the perfect lineup for an aggressive team. I mean, an all-in combo, as they said over in the analyst desk. As if I can get my words out. And it's very, very dangerous. Like, Mousesports really have to play quite passively, I think, in this one, and just hope that they can almost farm their way passively to victory in this one, because SK Telecom are going to be in their face all the time.
And they're really going to be dependent on Ezreal to do most of the damage. Cho'Gath's going to have to build tanky. Phylox, he's going to naturally build tanky just because it's Leona. You have Xin Zhao and Shen as well. So if they do get jumped on, at least they have a decent disengage. You have the Cho'Gath Rupture, you have the Leona Solar Flare, like they're saying in the analysis desk. You have a lot of CC besides that. The Shen taunt, and then the disengage from Xin Zhao, the displacement. So they have a really good team to protect Ezreal, but will they have the damage in the end? SK Telecom assassins, and that's the way the current meta is kind of going. Everyone likes these assassins. They're finally coming back into the game. Bruisers as well, and with Diana, with Lee Sin, with Jax especially, who just becomes stronger as the game progresses, it's going to be so deadly for anyone that gets caught on Mousesports. So I would give it to, actually, I don't know. If Mouse can hold on, I think they can win it, but if SK Telecom get the early advantage, they're easily going to win this game.
I mean, Mousesports just won the ESL Pro Series Germany, which is the whole reason that they're here, actually. They managed to get this spot as the, I guess, the German champions, alternate world champions from the season before that, so they're here as well, obviously in the other group from that side of things. But another thing to kind of mention here, that Jax is running Ghost, which is an interesting choice. I mean, you've got Leap Strike, so maybe Flash, that's the whole thinking behind that one, but it's going to be hard to get away from a Jax who's got Ghost.
Well, and also there's a counter to that. He's also very easily ganked pre-6. Or just period, he's pretty easily ganked. If he doesn't have that Ghost up, he's going to have a lot of trouble if they do land some sort of slower knock-up out of Xin Zhao or a taunt out of Arthana. It's going to be very deadly for him, but then again, it's Reaper. Previously on Zubu Blaze, I trust his judgment. He's clearly a better player than I am, so he must have been practicing this Jax, as they are still having a little bit of problems, it looks like, as I'm reading chat. But hopefully everything will get sorted out pretty quickly here. But Joe, what about the starting times as we're seeing here? I mean, this is Season 2 patch, this is Zed, this is not Season 3 in any way, and we have, pretty much 4 boots coming out. We see a pink ward on both supports, and those 2 and 3 wards actually over to Starlast. So must be running some heavy support. Actually, no, we see 4 health pots on Leona. That makes sense.
Yeah, extra pot for Leona. But yeah, standard kind of items. As you said, we're on the Z patch, so for those wondering why we're not seeing any new items or what have you, they're not in this patch up until now. They're not in the pre-season 3 change just yet. And I want to talk about the bottom lane as well for Mousesports, because JWoww actually used to play top lane for Mouse, and since Prathana's come into the team, Prathana actually was an AD carry in his last team, if I'm not totally mistaken with that one. But JWoww and Phylox, we saw them at the weekend actually in the EPS finals. they comboed really well, and we know that Filox is a very, very strong Leona player. We've seen him in his time at Fnatic, albeit short-lived time at Fnatic, that he played very well with that Leona. So interested to see how that whole bottom lane goes on against Starlass and you and me. Obviously, the Sona Corki down there. It's going to be a hard lane for them either way, I think.
Yeah, the Sona, I mean, as we always keep talking about, she has a little bit more effective health than minions, but she's so squishy. Even with that W leveled up, even with armor runes and magic resist runes, Leona can put out quite a bit of CC and lock her down. And from that, I mean, you have Ezra who can just follow that up with his Ignite. They have Exhaust on Leona. And it's pretty much up to Starlass to win or lose that lane, I want to say. Corki has a great poke. I mean, when don't we see Ezra Corki in the bot lane going head-to-head? But, I mean, yeah, it's Starlass' game to lose here in that bottom lane.
So we're going to throw it back over to the analysis desk. They're going to analyse the first 1 minute and 5 seconds of the game where Cork is disconnected 3 times. So, guys, have fun with that one.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So, as you can see, many members of staff are on the back there sorting out SKTelecom. So, let's talk about the rest of Group A. Obviously, we've got this game coming up, SKTelecom versus Mousesports.
Mousesports. Yeah.
The cog work. They works a little slow when you get older.
They were still wearing the Mousesports shirts, though, weren't they?
They are still wearing the Mousesports shirts, and I also noticed Moma's sporting a scarf. I think he's got a little bit of an Ocelot crush on going on there, maybe. These mids, you never know. Didn't fancy wearing a scarf yourself today?
No, sorry.
No?
Not wearing so many scarves.
Not wearing so many scarves. So, the other teams in this group, it is Fnatic and Millennium. Who are we pinning for this group to start with?
I think the favorite of the group is mainly Fnatic. They came like winning every tournament. Second place on IPL, then first place on DreamHack, first place on Thor. So I feel they are the strongest. And then I'm really expecting to see the match between SKTelecom and Millennium. It's going to be a really nice match.
I mean, do you think that's the battle for second here?
Yes,
is that what you're pinning?
I think so.
So
I don't.
So you discounted Mousesports completely?
Pretty much, yeah. I think Fnatic has probably the best team right now. Not in the world, but in Europe so far. Like with Reckless, we have to say that Reckless is 16 years old.
And Soaz in the top lane has just been outstanding. You know, against Stanley, he was just dominant. Against Salmei as well in IPL, they were just so strong. And you know, it's funny that Stanley actually references Soaz quite often in his things, basically saying how much he thinks he's a set. And you know, when one of the guys that's just won the World Finals is saying you're good, you got to be good.
Well, let me just argue against that a little bit, because I've been speaking to Harry, and he says, well, I'm a little bit worried that the guys haven't had enough practice recently.
Yes.
So the last time that they played together at all was the Thor Open, where they just they marched through the tournament. I asked Harry, Thor wasn't probably that much of a challenge to them. It was pretty easy. You never want to say this publicly, sorry Harry, but they said it was not a tournament that really challenged them too much. And immediately after that, some people went home. I think N-Rated went home. So they're really out of practice.
And Reckless actually had an exam straight after. He went back, had an exam, did that exam, and then travelled straight away.
So it's only a week.
Rock and roll lifestyle. Yeah,
it's only a week, but how much effect does it have if you haven't played together for a week when you come to a tournament?
I think if you have it in the enough level already, the team played,
it should be good.
Yeah, it's fine.
And while we like to say, okay, we've stayed on this patch for the reasons that obviously, they need to be prepared for it.
Right.
But the fact is they've all gone home and they've all played Season 3. So now they're coming here and they're going, okay, so what are we doing? Oh, there's a Heart of Gold. Okay, we can do that. Oh, no Black Cleavers? What do you mean? Why can't I stack Black Cleavers?
League of Black Cleavers.
League of Black Cleavers. Thankfully, that's been patched out, and I'm sure everybody else would agree with that one. But how would you get back and practice for this? I mean, for example, COG EU, they're coming in this fairly late as well. They've all travelled back. Everybody travelled back from Vegas that was there. And they've really sort of dispersed. Everybody went home thinking, right, okay, we've just got this one tournament to do before the end of the year. How do you practice for that sort of thing? Or is it just a case of everybody on the come down?
And actually, I know of some teams, they were playing on the tournament realm.
Right,
so
practicing
they were
on there.
On the Season 2 patch. So it's fine for them. I heard of so many teams practicing there. I think it was CLGU and some other teams, they were playing there. So it's still like they keep training on that patch.
They kept on playing it, and of course they've had the cross-round qualifiers recently of Katowice, If I've just butchered that name, apologies. Katowice. Is it Katowice? Okay, thank you very much. But obviously they were on this patch as well. So the Cross-1 patch. So the people who have played that. So Fnatic played very well on that. They beat CLG in those cross-round qualifiers and Moscow 5 as well. I recall beat CLG. They qualified for that. So CLG have had a little bit of a rusty period coming into this tournament.
Well, one thing I just want to say about the whole Season 3, Season 2 disconnect is that while there is, of course, lots of new stuff going on in the Season 3 patch, teams haven't really switched over to a whole new way of playing yet. Teams still pretty much play like they used to play in Season 2. I mean, other than Black Cleaver stacking, which has been patched out, fortunately, as of today. But I don't know how much of a disadvantage it would be if you could only practice on Season 3 patch. You could still keep your mechanical skills high, I guess. You can still remember how to coordinate ganks and so on. So I don't know that it's a world-shattering change, that it's completely impossible to
Well, it's completely different masteries to start with.
That is true. The masteries are different. So, but you know what affects some of the Season 2 masteries. That you probably have your page that you haven't changed in the last 4 months anyway.
And actually, Reckless has 13 pages for ADs.
Wow.
13 different pages for ADs. How many did you used to have as a jungler?
I have. Actually, I have like 6.
Yeah, I say
8.
used to. That was a bit harsh.
Yeah, well, I had like 6 or 7 or 8 pages.
6 or 7 or 8.
It's a lot. Like you have like 1 for 10.
Alistair,
another Alistair, and the last one.
And then it's like, damn, Alistair's been banned.
Yeah.
Okay, what am I going to play?
I don't know. I asked something to play Super then.
Yeah.
I gotta play Alistair.
Yep. You're just like, oh well.
Actually, Listen is the strongest.
Of course he is. I mean,
he's retarded.
I say it in every game. Everyone that plays with me, ban Lee Sin. The very first words that come out of my name.
We played a normal draft today as well, and you made me ban Lee Sin.
I did make you ban Lee Sin because Lee Sin is OP. And if you ever see, say, I don't know, I'm thinking Link, maybe Link, who had an awesome video recently, a YouTube clip of him, you know, reasons to ban Lee Sin, and you just see some of these pro players doing some of the things, and you're just like, oh my god. And the guy's like in the base, back around, using wards, dropping them all over the place, killing people across the map, and nobody can catch him. It's like Nidalee on steroids.
Yep.
I would love to see Soath playing Lee Sin.
You'd love to see Soath. Yeah, he did it at IPL 5, didn't he?
And he was amazing.
He played it in the top lane, and it's one of those champions that really are... It's not that easy to play. I'll be fair, because when you do one of the moves, it's actually really quite hard. But when you see the pro players doing, you're just like, oh god, this is just sick to watch.
I tried the W to ward thing once, and I just dropped the ward, stood there for 2 seconds.
Then got killed. Yeah. So anyway, back to this match, SK Telecom. We don't know a lot about these guys, other than the fact we know what Reaper came from. Azubu Blaze won the New York tournament. We know how that worked out. What are we expecting? Who is your money on? Who do you think is going to win this game?
For me, it's SK Telecom. I think they are strongest.
I'm going to go with Mouse simply because Moma is from this island.
Supporting the man from your home country.
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to happen this game. So we're matching SK Telecom up against Fnatic, maybe, or SK Telecom versus Millennium. How are we playing that one out? If you guys think SK Telecom are going to win this game, because by that extent, we're expecting Fnatic to beat Mouse. This is how we're expecting the Group A to play out, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. It's purely guesswork. Millennium versus Mouse. Bearing in mind, Millennium's only a week old.
Still, I think Millennium probably has that game.
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay.
I really like all the players on Millennium. They are like really amazing individual skill players. So I think if they have like the minimum team play, they will be really good.
I think the game has actually been resumed, so we probably want to get back.
So, if the game is back underway, ladies and gentlemen, let's get over to Joe and Jason for more action.
Thanks a lot, guys. So we are actually back into the game. Corky is here, finally. That was you and me, obviously, having a couple of issues there. Not sure exactly what the problem was, but seems to be fixed for now, which is all good. In the break there, I didn't actually have time to do this, which is what I wanted to do, and rearrange that good old scoreboard here. And there we go, all good. So scoreboard rearranged then. And we can see Lee Sin starting off by his Wolves. No invade, obviously, with Corki having that disconnect. Mousesports, they did go into this top side of the jungle, came away afterwards, though, and nothing really from the start of that one. We can see Dedrian here is starting off on the red buff side, actually took the Wraiths before that one, and is being helped out here by Firelox to finish off that buff, and then they're going to be headed down in towards their respective lanes. So, Jason, let's break it down here. Bottom lane, Sona Corki versus Ezreal and Leona. What's your thoughts on this one?
Well, we have that sustain lane versus aggressive lane. So if you fall behind with that Ezreal and Leona combo, you're going to be behind for the rest of the game and until you at least catch up with some kills or something. But if you're aggressive and you land the kills, you're going to snowball that lane very hard. A sustain lane is more or less just trying to farm. There won't be very many kills unless you do see the jungler come down. But it depends on how Mouse plays it. If they aren't aggressive, if they don't capitalize on the early game with that Leona amount of CC he has, then they're not going to do too well later on. But Jack's doing some good damage to Arthana in that top lane.
Yeah, and as RNA rightly pointed out in here, this Jax is going to be a bit of trouble for Shen. They need to get involved and get some good damage down and to get some ganks going on. You can see in the bottom lane there, bit of damage being exchanged back and forth, which you're always going to expect out of this Corki and Sona lane. Lee Sin actually up on the top side here, just doing his raid, so we may see him getting involved in this middle lane as well. Obviously, Momo, let's have a look at him here. Got 1 point in his, in all 3 skills up until now, so we'll see in a little while where he's exactly going to be building into. As we can see, both jungles actually coming into this middle lane. Dedrian does go around, will actually end up just going back over towards that other side. Lee Sin deciding that there's probably nothing for him to be taking in this middle lane as well. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, you can see You and Me on Corki has taken a fair amount of damage from that one. As I just line up Sona, obviously she's not the AD carry. And in the top lane, again, we can see Prothana is taking quite the amount of damage there. Jack's going to go low. Yeah, low HP ping, which always scares me when I hear that, and I don't see what's happening. Luckily for us this time, it was just Jax going low from that tower hit there in the top lane. So a fairly quiet start to things, Jason.
Well, look at the CS in the top lane. It was 9-20, as we did see Reaper had to go back. Arthana farming pretty well under tower, as you do see right here.
Oh, down in the bottom lane, no, Corki maybe in a bit of trouble here. He's actually going to get exhausted. JWoww going to go in there. The Ignite is burning onto You and Me. Is he going to survive it? He's got that pot running. Ignite will time out, and that will not quite be first blood, but Mousesports doing what they need here and forcing this Corki out of lane.
And Joe, actually, I wanted to talk about mid lane. What do you think about that kind of combo? You have Cho'Gath versus Diana. You have that really hard assassin who around level 7 should start going for some kills. And then you have a Cho'Gath who has, pretty good damage just from that feast, that true damage alone. And then you have Xin Zhao to come in for the gank. If you get that nice knock up with a 3-talon strike, follow that up with a rupture, that could be a dead Diana.
Yeah, and that's one thing that Mightily has to be really careful of in this middle, is going all in on towards Moma, which, Moma's going to try and bait that out to get Xin Zhao in behind Diana to try and get things working in this middle lane. So basically, Moma has to do all the baiting in that lane, I think, to get Diana out there. From Mightily's side, he just needs to be careful that he doesn't fall into that trap, as we are going to see here. Moma maybe in a little bit of trouble, will use the flash to get away. Xin Zhao is there, but that's not going to be a kill coming in. Meanwhile, at top, I can see their icons almost constantly floating over the top of each other on the minimap, and that's again just back and forth action between Reaper and Prothana. Actually, Prothana, since Jax did go back, has managed to go ahead in the CS.
Yeah, he got kind of lucky with a couple of those turret hits there. He got Jax, I believe, 3 times and forcing him back. Lee Sin coming in for a gank, though. He is backing out. Isn't spotted by a ward yet, though, as Arthana just kind of moving in and outside that bush, and he is coming in for that gank very shortly.
Yeah, Lee Sin going to head into this one. Prothana still in that bush. Reaper actually going to check him out here. And we will see Lee Sin coming into the lane. He's got the vision, as we are going to see Leap Strike actually moved away from. Nicely done by Prothana there. He will stay safe in this top lane.
And the junglers trying to get around the map as much as possible. We saw, Daedra in the mid lane trying to go for a gank. Unfortunately, we saw that Oma didn't have the mana for it, which isn't really a downside to Cho'Gath, since you can farm the minions with your passive, get the extra health regen and mana back. But the bottom lane, it really hasn't been action intensive, as we do see Leona going in.
Yeah, and just as you say that one, Leona landing the Zenith Blade.
Prove me wrong.
And we see Corki down to half HP just from that one little combo. So they've got to be a little bit careful about that one. The sustain obviously is with SKTelecom with that nice heal coming out from Sona, which is going to be helping them a lot to stay in this lane. Early items and CS is pretty much bang even on the CS and on the items as well. They've got pots each, the T1 boots plus a Doran's blade in there as well. Top lane, we just just saw the pings coming down actually from Reaper. He was just pinging the fact that Prathana did back away and get himself a warding position. But we may be seeing a play here for this next blue buff, or are they going to go straight in towards the top here? Mightily is coming in. And they're not going to spot him either because he put that ward down inside of the tri-bush. This could very well be that first blood coming in. Prathana, as you said, doesn't have his flash available, and they are going to work in. Lee Sin Q actually misses the counter-strike, not going to go down. But there is Diana, ignites onto Prathana, and he's not escaping this one. And it's Jax that picks up first blood. And if there's one thing you don't want to do is, you know, number one, let Jax farm. Number two, give Jax first blood.
Yeah, not to mention Diana as well on top of that, who's such a good assassin. Was roaming around a little bit right there. We do see a play actually happening on the blue buff here. They should be able to take this away quite easily. Great game awareness out of them, noticing that we did see Horo in the top end. But
wow, he's going very low there, Dedrin. I'm not sure if he can escape this one. Actually, bottom lane coming up there. We did see the Ignite taking him very, very low. They weren't quite able to finish off the kill. Starlash just watching over the top there, and they may try and close in from them. We can see that Lee Sin is coming around that side. Moment actually is going to walk into two of them here. Lee Sin is ready and waiting. Diana in that top side brush as it does put the rupture down. Well, Diana not going to go for that one, not wanting to overextend, which actually interesting considering that the bottom lane had gone back into lane and they were visible from that one. But still no more kills coming out aside from that first blood in the top lane, and that leaves Jax now with a Phage Doran's Blade and also a good 20 CS lead almost.
Yeah, we do see actually the gold difference in the top lane, 1,800 currently for Prathana, and compared to Reaper, who's 2,500, so he's fallen behind. I mean, yes, he did die. In CS, he's a little bit behind as well, but once Jax gets that Trinity Force, Joe, as we always talk about, that core item for him, you can't stop him with any top lane champion. Shen won't be able to do anything to him, and that's kind of a problem. Will Shen be able to split push late game? That's typically what he does and what he needs to do. I mean, he's level 6, he has that global presence. If you do want to see a dive on this bottom lane, which could very well be coming shortly, so do have Falix going to be very close to level 6 right now. JWoww already level 6, has some mana, but needs to save up just a little bit more. And Moma taking his own blue there. And by the way, that was a great rupture out of him at his red buff catching Horo. Didn't really expect that to come out, but it actually saved his life.
Yeah, and we can see in this top lane, it's such a difficult lane now for Prathana, if it wasn't already hard enough before. He's got Doran's shield in there, obviously bought that a little bit earlier on before he actually died. It wasn't enough to keep him alive from that 3-man gank though. T1 boots plus the null magic mantle, so probably headed straight in towards those Merc Treads and taking the tenacity from them. So the interesting thing now is that Reaper doing what Jax does best, which is 2 hits on the minions, 3rd hit with a leap strike over on towards Shen, and he's just going to keep doing that until he gets lower and lower and lower, and at some point he'll go in for the finisher as well.
Yeah, Thana's already down to half-life just from those combos, like you're just saying. The mana though running decently low on Reaper, so he only has so much ability to actually harass until he can actually get in melee range of Arthana. But I mean, Arthana's still farming under tower. He's still getting his health back from those Qs, from those Vorpal Blades. So in the end, he's able to regen on top of that with that Doran shield. It's going to help him out, but the thing is, he's going to need some help from his jungler. They need to see Xin Zhao come in. However, he's at that bottom lane, and he actually will be counter-getting Tears. Horo in perfect position to turn this around if they do go.
Yeah, they're getting ready to go in. One thing that you've got to keep in mind, though, is that Shen. He is level 6, and he will be involved in that fight if something ends up going down. Lee Sin has now backed away. We do have Xin Zhao still in this bush, though, where you can see SKTelecom playing very pensively, and if they come out here, this Xin Zhao is surely going to be able to catch one of them down. Here we go, Zenith Blade will actually go out there, doesn't quite get the stun down to Corki, but there is a turnaround. Crescendo comes in, Shen ulti going to come down, and they are diving here on towards Corki, and there is the ultimate coming out of Ezreal, and that will level the kills up at 1 apiece.
Great job by Mousesports there. However, Reaper in the top lane, as you hear it, Joe, your most satisfying sound in all League of Legends.
It's the best sound in the world, actually, if you're a Jax player or that Jax is on your team.
I'm surprised your ringtone or like text message sound isn't that yet. But yeah, I mean, he's punishing Shen. He did ulti down that bot lane. Now he's pushing his turret as much as possible. Going to done a lot of CS, a lot of experience towards Shen, as we do have Starlash getting dove on.
Yeah. JWoww actually just diving straight underneath the turret. Didn't expect him to do that at this stage. I mean, he was tanking all the damage from that turret, but he's come up with it nicely, and that will actually put Ezreal 2-0 now in the lead and kills. Prathana here may get caught out. Lee Sin is actually coming around the side. There is the Ignite down flash going to be used. Q dodged by Prathana, but I'm not sure that it's going to be enough to get him away from this. No, it won't be. Reaper will pick up that one. That is now a 2-for-0 Jax. So we've got 4 kills. Both of them from either side coming onto the one player, so 2 for Jax, 2 for Ezreal. Who's going to benefit the team more in the long run?
Reaper on Jax.
Yeah.
I mean, because they have such a heavy assassin team. If he gets that GA right after that Trinity Force, it's going to create so many problems for Mousesports. And just look at him. I mean, he's just non-stop pushing his top lane right now. 100 CS going to be back in with about 1,600 gold. So he should be able to get that Sheen if he does want to go for that item as his next pick, which honestly he should be. And Horo, I mean, he's doing a good amount of counter jungle. He will be caught here, though.
Yeah, Horo could be in trouble from MoMA coming in. There is the Ignite actually going down, and a flash away. Ooh. Dashes off as well with a W, safe onto his minions. And that's the problem with Lee Sin. He is a very slippy character. He's so hard to pin down.
I can hear Demon right now in the analysis room saying, oh, I hate that Lee Sin. Yeah, that's like his least favorite champion, as you heard quite earlier. But Jay on the bot lane, going to be going up against this Corki and Sona. We do have Phylux finally coming back down there. But I don't really think, you know, SKTelecom can dive this with how much CC that Luna puts out, with how much damage JWoww puts out.
Yeah, that's the problem. When they turn it around, it could be very dangerous in this bottom side. However, we do now have Dedrian on his way around as well with that Xin Shout. And Corki needs to be a little bit worried about this one, but Jax is coming down as well. Where's the damage going to come down? On towards Phylox. Corki forced to Valkyrie away, and Jax actually going fairly low from this. Will leap strike off towards his teammate, and Mousesports decide it's probably not worth chasing on after that one. But if you look at the health, that fight actually was in Mousesports' favor.
And we are seeing Reaper do, like, we talked about this the other day, Joe, how if you take your turret, like even in solo queue, you take that turret down, what do you do after that? Most people just try to push lane as much as possible, but we see Reaper, he's visiting the bot lane, he's trying to help his AD carry out, which was currently, actually still is currently behind in CS and in overall gold, as Ezreal has his 2 kills, and might eventually make it towards his mid lane, but he still is sticking around here. You see him in that tri-bush, trying to go for a kill here, as he will pop that counter-strike, and the crescendo coming out.
Oh, the ultimate will actually come down as well from Sona. Can they finish off? Dedrian only needing one more rocket from Corki there to finish him off. But again, SKTelecom, they're happy with forcing them back. But look at this. Diana is coming around. Phylox actually already behind his turret. What is Diana going to go for? Actually goes in towards Ezreal, and this could be a good amount of kills coming down. Shen ultimate did come in, but it was too late, and that is 2 kills, 3 kills, double kill for Diana, and that will put them in a massive advantage position. That's what we're talking about. This trade in this bottom lane, it went back and forth as Diana actually going to walk in. MoMA's silence was on the wrong direction, actually, and ended up missing that one. The rupture not landing either. Diana gonna be safe. But that's what I was talking about. They stuck around in this bottom lane. Mousesports just went that one step too far. Crescendo came in, Counter-Strike was down, and just those 2 stuns alone, that bit of CS there is enough to secure them the kills. And then, you know, you have the assassin there to clean up.
It seemed like a little bit of a misplay out of Phylox as he ran right up to Diana, hit him with the Q just to stun him, but he got hit with the Q out of Diana, and because of that, she was able to get in really quickly, pull in Ezreal, and if you look at it the other way, Ezreal could have dodged it with Arcade Shift. He has flash up, could have dodged it that way, and it probably would have been a completely different fight if that didn't happen, but still, they're getting punished now. I mean, Ezreal finally did die, 2-1. Reaper now 3-0-1, has 2/3 of his Triforce done, building into those Merc Treads as he has another 500 gold on him. And Diana, 1,400 gold in the mid lane right now, has Abyssal done. And we're going to see the Haunting Guys, or maybe a little bit of tankiness.
Oh, I was down at the bottom, actually. Corki getting very low from this one. Ezreal ultimate coming in there as well. And MoMA, you know, we talked about sticking around, and MoMA was there for quite a while on that one. They may have done enough to get themselves a turret here, Mousesports, if they wanted to actually go for it. Yet MoMA will cancel his recall, and they aren't going to get themselves in there. This turret not going to last very long with those 3 hammering away on it, and that will bring us back to 1-1 in turrets. But looking at the gold, it's a 1,600 gold lead currently for SKTelecom. The CS is actually pretty even across the board, as we do see Dedrian starting off Dragon all on his own. He's going to have Shen coming in for backup. The bottom lane plus MoMA will be there. So 5-man Mousesports team currently hanging around by this Dragon, which is down to half HP. We'll see if Horo can actually get in there. He's got the Q on Prathana, so he can get over if he wants to. Smite will get him, and Horo is going to die. Actually came in there trying to steal it, but we talked about this before. Losing the Dragon, is it really worth losing your death just from that? Not sure.
No, I mean, we talked about tonight. I remember talking with RNA and Demon. I mean, trading a mid tower for a Dragon. We obviously didn't see it happen this time, but complete in favor of taking that tower. But Horo, I mean, that's the CC we were talking about earlier. The late game composition of Mousesports. He got in, didn't move anywhere after that. But Arthur not going to get caught here. Should be able to escape though, and with the help of JWoww, they might even be able to secure a kill.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they're going to chase it, though. They were, I think, wondering a little bit more about where the rest of the team were. Reaper here is actually going to get caught out. We do have Sincham now coming in. He's below half HP, got that red buff on. And actually, they decide not to go in there. And that was the ward that he placed. Coming into that one will actually end up saving his life. He stays safe. But the kill's now 5-4. And still a really close game, which Mousesports, you know, they're hanging on, considering that they, the comp that SKTelecom have gone for in this one is all about getting in there, getting those kills on mass. They're doing a really good job.
They definitely need to kill Reaper right now, get that little bit of gold that he gives you, and not to mention just stop him from farming. Sitting at 1100 gold again, getting ever so closer to that Triforce, and when that happens, I mean, SKTelecom should start grouping and start pushing, because they have a Diana who's pretty fed as well, 2-0-2. Corki 0-2, but he's still keeping up in CS and actually ahead of Ezreal at the moment, has that phase done, has an 8, or about 1,000 gold on him as well. But I mean, Mousesports taking that bottom turret, it's kind of a little bit of a ballsy move, because if you do that, then you're forced into pushing mid lane and pushing these towers down as a team. And the thing is that SKTelecom has the advantage in that situation right now.
You can see Phylox just helping JWoww secure all that CS there in the bottom.
I'm helping.
I am helping. And they're stood right on top of a ward here. Lee Sin is actually coming down through that bottom lane, so we'll see if he decides to get in on the action. They knew that Sona was there as well from their ward in that tri-bush. And now I have to point out, Jax, he's farming. He's just farming this top lane again, which is, if he's not already that too far ahead, in my opinion, at 3-0-1. A good 20 CS lead as well. The last thing that they need to do is allow Reaper to keep going here, as actually Prathana does come in. Sunfire Cape now finished on him, so that's going to help out a bit, but I still think Reaper will, well, destroy him 1 versus 1. There's no question about that.
We're going to need to see like a Randuin's or a Frozen Heart. Obviously, Frozen Heart not the right choice unless Cho'Gath picks it up. And Reaper getting caught here. Gonna land that counter-strike onto Daedrian, though.
He's gonna 2v1 him. This is how ridiculous Jax is. He goes in there, actually not quite getting the kill. Prathana's ultimate gonna be forced to be used. Reaper just hammering away at him as he's teleporting out of that one. So still, you know, no kills coming in, but there you see the strength of Jax. He'd quite happily take this 2v1 fight. As Phylox coming around there as well to try and force them away from this blue buff. Horo is gonna go away, and Reaper getting pinged here, but they're just scared of him right now.
Yeah, I mean, they expected that fight to go in a completely different way, but with just how far ahead he is, like you're saying, he completely 1v2 them easily right now. But the bot turret going down, so SKTelecom picking up the second turret, leaving the scoreline at 2-1 in favor of them for that. And the gold lead, I mean, 18 minutes in, 4-5, it's still not that huge.
Yeah, it's not huge at all. I mean, it's less than 2,000 currently, so less than 10% gold. Probably not that much of a difference to really be talking about, but the problem is, yeah, that's the problem. The kills with Diana and with Jax, yeah, it'd be great if Corki had managed to get himself in on the action, but we see here Reaper again going in onto Prathana, who's actually got almost twice the health of him right now, but he knows that he just can't fight against these Jax at all.
Even has Daedrian waiting in the bush right there to try to bait him in, but he's playing smart, backing out instead. And his gold, he's getting ever so close. He's sitting at 1,000 again. I'm just waiting to get that Triforce, because when that happens, this game can completely, well, easily turn around. And Joey mentioned the kill spread. Obviously, Corki would like a kill or two, but you know, having their assassin kind of composition with this Jax, with this Diana and this Lee Sin, it definitely doesn't suck trying to get those actually fed so they can get tanky enough to survive the damage and the CC that Mousesports can put out. But blue being started here, it looks like it will be contested out of SKTelecom. I'm not sure if they can actually defend it.
Prathana's position was actually given away there. The Rupture is going to miss. Will SKTelecom turn this one around? The blue buff is going to get reset.
It's a crucial fight.
All 5 from Mousesports are there. This is going to be a big one as Diana comes in. Granite Strike not actually landing. There goes the Rupture coming in. Ezreal ultimate will actually miss everyone, but they're going to go in on towards Reaper. There is the ultimate out of Sona. It might hold them down long enough. Reaper will die. Wow. They're in onto JWoww. Momo is going to use his knob, and actually You and Me is now in a lot of trouble as well. He's going to flash over the wall. Here comes Prathana over the top as well, and that was a 2-for-0. Jax and Diana, we were talking about those two, the 2 with the kills, 3 for Jax, 2 for Diana. They both died in that fight. That was a massive win for Mouse, and that's going to bring the gold right back level as well.
That was a beautiful fight at Mousesports. They knew.
Oh. There's Lee Sin for you. Ezreal inside of his own jungle. Lee Sin comes around. That's just how fast he is. I couldn't even get there quick enough myself to look at it. And Mousesports now pushing up this top tower, and I'm not sure that SKTelecom will be able to really stop this happening unless Mouse really just back away from it, which I don't see. They've got a good wave of minions in there as well. And this will actually end up putting them into the lead in the gold as well. Or probably not quite.
That was such a beautiful fight out of Mousesports right there. They knew Reaper was down to half-life or less, and with that, they engaged on it. We saw a nice crescendo come out of Star last, but it wasn't enough. All really locked down, I believe, was that Cho'Gath and was Phylox, and we saw Miley overextend, trying to go for Ezreal, and they just blew him up before he could do anything. We saw Cho'Gath doing that feast on top of him, and it just obliterated him, and that's the problem. If you overextend as an assassin, not in a group, you know, with Jax coming in, with Lee Sin coming in, you're gonna die, because Ezreal, 3, 2, and 3, he has the ability to take on Miley at the moment.
Yeah, and the fact that he survived that fight, okay, afterwards it didn't quite work out in his favor just because Lee Sin and happened.
And that's why the pickup for the Bloodthirster on Ezreal is so crucial for him, because he knows he's going to be taking a lot of damage. And getting that before that Trinity Force is going to help him heal a little bit more. They don't need to poke so much because that's not the kind of composition SKTelecom has. They want to get in your face, get on top of you right away, and you don't really have a chance to poke them here. But second Dragon is going to be going over to Mousesports now, and that is keeping him in the game quite easily, as they will take the gold lead. So be it by 500, but a lead is a lead.
Yeah, a lead that they're definitely going to be happy with at this stage of things as well. Those kills after that last fight kind of been spread across the board. Always a bit of a tricky situation for Mouse earlier on when, you know, all your kills are on your AD carry, making him the sore thumb, you know, sticking out like a sore thumb in those fights of where you go for the target. As we are going to see the Rupture landing down to Diana.
Top lane.
Yeah, going 1 versus 1 against Dedrin here. Actually, Shen's going to come in. Leona's there as well. Reaper not going to escape from this one. We've got Ezreal in there as well, and there comes a kill for Xin Zhao, but they are pushing this middle lane. Moma doing his best to hold them back. There goes the Ezreal ultimate across. There's the nom onto you and me as well. Rupture not quite connecting for him. But still, Mouse, you know, they've killed Jax again. That's a bonus for them. And they go ahead 30,800 to 29,800. So 1,000 gold lead now. They've got the kill lead. They're leveling turrets. They may even take this middle turret with that brute force of 5 men just moving in onto it. And it's nothing that SKTelecom can really stop.
Yeah, that was so many ultimates used out of Mousesports, but they knew if we can kill Reaper, then the enemy team can't really defend against us, as we do hear him in the background right now. He's doing a lot of calls, trying to get this tower, and they do go in.
Yeah, fight going to kick off here. We saw the crescendo coming out, but look at Mouse. They're losing health all over the place here. Prathana going fairly low. Moma actually trying to stop them here as Lee Sin going to go flying in there. Big bomb out of Corki. Can he finish off? No, they're not quite able to get in for that damage, but Lee Sin is chasing down still. But Mouse should be able to walk away from this one with their lives intact. However, turret intact, I'm not sure that they will get away with. Only needs a couple more hits here, and that will go down. Jack's just tanking it up, and there is the middle turret taken. But again, it's 1 for 1 those middle turrets, so Mousesports are probably still happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, they got a kill or two, right? Or they got a kill on Reaper. They got a turret off of it. They didn't get the second one, but they didn't lose anyone, which is the key thing. If they start losing members here, easily SKTelecom can turn this around. And items, Joe, I mean, we've seen a lot of core items being built. Jax finally has his Triforce. We see Corki with his as well. The Abyssal's been done for a while on Diana, but has that new Large right on top of it. We see Horo on Lee Sin with his Wriggles, Heart of Gold, so he has the ability to, you know, take objectives a lot easier than anything Mousesports has, though. If it's a Baron or if it's a Dragon, Moma, easily with that feast, going to be doing that 1,000 true damage. It's going to be really hard to take it away from him. But Wit's End and the Sunfire Cape done for Shen, we need to see some sort of attack speed reduction, like a Randuin's or Frozen Heart, like I was saying earlier, to really stop this Jax, stop this Lee Sin, and even Diana, who does decent damage with auto attacks with their passive, which, you know, scales with APs. So kind of you see that item come out. We see an Aegis done, currently for Xin Zhao. Phylox, actually has an Oracle, which I believe is the first one of the game, if I'm not mistaken, and is clearing out the Baron. So it looks like Mousesports kind of wants to force SK to group up and defend against this Baron, because if they lose it, this game could be over.
Yeah, Lee Sin going in now, and actually Diana in a lot of trouble. Phylox gonna go down. It's Corki that gets the kill, and they're not finished now. Moving in on towards Moma. Leap Strike was used. The Q from Lee Sin will get him in there as well. Dedrin gonna try and force them away, and that was enough. Just his presence there with that knock-up. He used his ultimate earlier on, actually, while they were in the jungle. Meanwhile, though, Shen is being, well, Shen, split pushing this bottom lane. Saw him not really getting that much damage down onto it, but he's forced that minion wave up, which is going to make SKTelecom come back and deal with that one. And it is Reaper who's going to be taking more and more CS. He's a good 42 CS, actually, in the lead over Shen right now, which is not to be sniffed at. That's a lot.
Yeah, and he's actually building towards that GA now. We do have the zone is completed for Diana. And that GA going to be very crucial for Reaper, because if they dive in so far, I wouldn't be too surprised to see Miley pick one up as well, just so because of how far he's overextending. We've seen it happen already. He died the first time. The second time, he almost dropped immediately. But with that zone, he's going to help out with that extra armor. Though, I mean, how can you stop a Jax with the Trinity Force? I mean, yeah, he's been caught a couple of times, which is why he's died, and actually forced the team to lose a couple of turrets. But if they start grouping up and start, initiating the fights they want to, I don't really see Mouse winning the fight at the moment unless you see the game last about, another 5 to 10 minutes and see a couple more core items finished.
Well, Mouse have just pushed this middle lane out. As you said earlier on, there was an Oracle, which was lost by Phylox as he got caught. Again, it's like, he's got an Oracle. He's going to be the easy target for that next fight, especially if we can catch him out. Mousesports just getting the wards in onto that top side of the jungle. So trying to keep vision high here across the entire map. Are they going to be able to steal away this blue buff? Prothana already started it off.
Sorry, Reaper is actually overstaying a little bit there. We do have Horo land that Q on the MoMA, but it won't be enough as they will take it away. And we do see Starless pick up an Oracle for himself. They know that they need to clear out all these wards in the jungle because they're being forced to stay away from it. They're not allowed to get their own jungle and keep their CS high, keep their money income coming. But we do have, looks like a 5-man push on this bottom lane coming. And I'm not sure if they can really get this turret out from under them.
Well, let's see. Mouse have got a decent wave coming in there with them.
This is a really crucial point here. If Mouse loses this fight, they're most likely going to lose the game.
There's a rupture actually missing, and SKTelecom might take that as a sign to push out. Actually, they decide not to, but now Corky's joined the fight, and we are going to see Counter-Strike gets over across 4 of them. There's the Ezreal ultimate to try and force them back, but how's this going to go? Good crescendo. Leona ultimate use as well. We see Shen going, Xin Zhao going very low, will be finished off here by Jax, and they're right in the middle of them. Corky doing great amounts of damage. Flash away from JWoww. He's going to turn around, gets the kill onto Reaper, and now Mousesports, they're still losing men, and now Diana comes in. That's the cleanup crew for SKTelecom. Phylox is going to die, and that is an ace coming out for SKTelecom.
That fight, Mouse lost any sort of advantage they had right there. It was such a good fight out of SKTelecom. Reaper, he sacrificed himself, but he got the nice counter-strike to set up the entire fight. Nice crescendo coming out of Starless. Now they're going to push this bottom lane. They should be able to get this tower quite easily. Might even be able to take the inhibitor turret because they still have, another 10 seconds on MoMA, another 17 on JWoww, which is all their damage at, right now. Since they're so tanky, they're lacking heavily on damage. They don't have an insane amount of AP since Shogat is limited by cooldowns, but he does have that death cap done now. Still is in Themes and Holy Grail. Looks like they are going to back out and go for their first dragon of the game for SKTelecom.
Yeah, Horo, the one that's doing that, as you said earlier, and got the wriggle, so should make easy work of that one. Also finished the Aegis. Diana with that Zhonya's Hourglass is now finished, as we saw in that last fight being popped. In terms of the AD carries, Ezreal actually got 3 parts of that Trinity Force, just needs to go home and finish it the next time around, and actually may just do that after this next wave does come down, and then he's going to be that whole lot stronger there. But you saw, 5 for 1 was that last fight, which just made it very, very bad news for Mousesports. And not to mention now, we have a Guardian Angel.
Yeah, he picked it up right after that fight. I mean, he sacked for himself. Now he's able to do it and still get back up and survive it. But, I mean, Mousesports, they completely lost their advantage, like I was saying before, and now they're going to have to turtle so hard to defend against this team. They're just getting so strong. Corky, Last Whisper now. There isn't a lot of armor on the other team, but Shen is trying to stick in his face, though. It's Cho'Gath who's the one that's really all up in his face, trying to keep him out of the fight. But still, with that Last Whisper, going to make him very deadly. Has a red pot as well, and we do see Starless working towards his Aegis on top of that.
Baron obviously not being attempted just yet.
Where's the Shuralias, Joe? I mean, we really need to see one out of Mousesports because they need to be able to disengage. We saw right there, if they had one, Reaper wouldn't have been able to jump in, and they wouldn't have been able to win that fight.
Yeah, and the thing that they're relying on there as well is that Xin Zhao ultimate quite a lot to disperse them in the middle of that fight and then be picking on the targets that they want. But we can see actually Mouse headed up towards Baron. They're going to clear out that first ward that's in there.
Reaper spotted at the bottom.
Yeah, they saw him in there. However, they're not going to be starting off Baron just yet. They're actually going to be setting up a bit of a trap here for SKTelecom. We're doing the wise thing, going in from that backside. Phosphorus Bomb was just used by Corky there to give them as much vision as they can. Obviously, Sona does have an Oracle as well, so they'll clear out that ward that was put down earlier on by Phylox, and they come back into that middle lane. For SKTelecom, do they really need a Baron now? Obviously, it'd be really nice for them, but I think they don't want to risk going in there in case Mousesports come in. And let's face it, with a Cho'Gath on the team, that's a nice little champion to have in there for stealing Baron.
Yeah, there's no point in blow the advantage they have right now. They know they can win these fights head on. They're way strong with all their sasses. The GA finish, like we were talking about earlier, the Zhonya's on Mightily, which saved his life completely right there. We saw the Feast go down on him, but because the Zhonya's popped right after, they weren't able to follow up. We do see Australia's finally done, though, coming out of Daejin, which is going to be so needed out of their side. We do have, actually, SK Telecom looks like they are trying to clear wards on Baron and really force Mouse to make a wrong move and really try to check it themselves and put a ward down and get caught and most likely lose the fight.
There's the blue buff coming up as well. Momo going to get his hands on that Baron. Baron is going to be kicked off. So let's see what Mousesports do about this one. As SK Telecom actually backing away from it. Mousesports see that they've stopped doing Baron and move away. There's a Q from Lee Sin, not quite connecting. But 4 of them are there. Are they going to go for this one? Reaper, who's been so very, very aggressive so far in this game, actually popped his ultimate there to get in on things, and Ghost, but wasn't able to get in. But Baron, nonetheless, is going to be started off once again. We can see already down to below half HP, 3,000 HP remaining. Mousesports going to come in here, but it is taken, and there's a great crescendo. This is bad news for Mousesports. Ultimate coming out of Xin Zhao, but it's not really enough. There's the first kill actually comes in for Momo. Reaper going fairly low as well, but he's got that Guardian Angel on. Corki going to force them away from the other side, and now Reaper is back in on the action. There's no way that Dedrian's escaping that one. Will Leona and Leona and Cho'Gath get away from that one? Yes, they will, but that's a Baron. That is 3 kills to 1. And SK Telecom will say, thank you very much, that's another fight for us.
Yeah, that was such amazing crescendo coming out of Starlast right there. Caught, I think it was 3 or 4 members of Mousesports, and because of that, easily won that fight. Take out 3 members, just like I said. Now I'm going to push this mid lane, get this turret, and there's nothing Mousesports can do about this inhibitor turret. I mean, Cho'Gath going to have a lot of CC, but not a lot of damage between them when that feast will be down eventually. And with the damage they have, they can easily take it. And then, Joe, you're going to hear your favorite sound in the game again.
There he is. Good old Jax hammering away. Inhibitor turret goes down.
Look how much gold that we currently see SK Telecom sitting on, though.
Yeah,
that's a lot of gold.
It's going to be a nice shopping spree. Let's say that when they go back. Mousesports actually trying to stop them from recalling here. But in the end, they will be able to get home. And we can see those items being finished off.
Frozen Heart finally
being built. As soon as they go back, yeah.
That's key. That's really going to limit the damage that Reaper can put out. And not to mention Horo, Miley, and you and me, like I was saying before. It's going to hurt them. Oh, trying to catch someone there. Horo. Q's going to land. We'll actually dodge that Rupture. Dragon not going to be up until a little bit longer, but still, what can Mousesports do right now? They can push out the lane, but that's just about it. They can't get caught in their own jungle again. They actually did lose the Oracle, luckily, for Phylox. He was able to keep that, so he's able to make it so they can at least farm their own jungle and see when the enemy will be coming in to push. But still, I mean, with that buying spree, Joe, we still see Jax, Reaper, 2,600 gold, hasn't bought yet. We see Horo, 2,000 gold, hasn't bought yet. Obviously, we'll have that GA very shortly if he decides to go for it. And then Miley, 1,400 right now.
Yeah, and Reaper is just farming away. He's going to be approaching that 100 CS difference, I think, here by the time he's finished with his next couple of creep waves that are coming in. 260 to 183 is the creep score in Reaper's favor. And, well, let's have a look at his gold again. 3,000 gold now. So it's going to be a very strong Reaper coming into the next fight if he wasn't already strong enough with that Guardian Angel plus Trinity Force already finished. He's going to get himself home. Guardian Angel was finished off by Horo on Lee Sin. Let's see what Jax is going to be going for in the end. As he does go home.
Gunblade, most likely, I would assume. Gives you the extra life steal, extra spell vamp. Oh, goes for Remnants instead. Actually, that's a good item as well. It will slow everyone down from Mousesports so they're able to catch up with them even easier. And because of that ghost, like you mentioned before during that last fight, they saw Xin Zhao out in the middle. He ghosted and even popped his ultimate just to catch them. And with his random, it's going to make it that much easier to do. He's so tanky right now. 240 armor, 3,000 health. There really is no answer to him right now. Mousesports doesn't have the damage they need to compete with this. They're not tanky enough yet, and they can't just deal with the damage, the front-up damage and the mobility that SK Telecom has.
Yep. See that Jax is actually pushing out this middle lane as well, so pressure going to be coming down. Obviously, we've got super minions now running into this base, and I think SK Telecom quite happy to keep them on this inner turret in the top lane. Whilst those super minions do start to stream their way in, actually Lee Sin is coming in from this backside. Where is this dive going to come from? Who are they going for? It's JWoww that will be the target. Shen ulti is actually going to come out here, but Phylox is going to be the first man to die. Yuan Min has been stuck to here by Shen. That's nice play, but JWoww is forced to flash away. He does actually die in the end, and well, they did take down Corki, so a 2-for-1 exchange. The bottom lane taken down. Here comes that turret, and well, Cho'Gath didn't really stand a chance on that that one with the pretty much entire team right on top of him. Inner turret will go down for SK Telecom. That will put them 7-3 in the lead in turrets. And you can see that Mouse have been forced to deal with these super minions, been forced to deal with the push lane on the bottom side as well. And that's going to mean this inhibitor go in SK Telecom's favor. And they may even look down to take a Nexus turret with this.
Yeah, I mean, you saw during that last fight, that was so great out of SK Telecom, but you saw the lack of damage that Mousesports has. They could not kill anyone. They ended up getting Corky there, but that was mostly just because of Cho'Gath and Shen just staying in his face, taunting him, and actually feasting him down, but they have no damage, and that is a major problem now. They're going to lose potentially their third inhibitor here as JWoww still 5 seconds left on his respawn, Moment 15. And, I mean, they're going to back out with another huge chunk of gold. Jax, 1,000. We see Diana at 1,600, Corky at 1,900, and even Sona at 1,300, so there's nothing else can really do unless they really catch the enemy team off guard, maybe pick up a Baron and are able to push down an inhibitor too, because now 2 inhibitors currently gone. They're going to have super minions just flooding into their base the entire time.
There is Reaper. That's going to be taking away this blue buff.
Very quickly.
Yeah, didn't really stand much of a chance, did
And look at the kill spread we currently have now for SK Telecom. It was originally really stacked for Jax and Diana, but it's pretty much evened out across the board for them. That's exactly what you want to see when you're playing.
What are they going to go in for here next is a
3 GAs now.
Largest rod and a GA just picked up there for Diana.
And all of them have it up currently.
Huh?
So all of them have it up currently, so it's a 5 on 8.
5 on 8.
Yeah, and then you have the Zonians on top of that with Diana.
So. Yeah, this is not going to be good news for Mouse. I mean, they can turtle as much as they want here, but SK have got the perfect dive team coming straight out of it. So as soon as they land a Lee Sin Q or they go in for that flash, crescendo flash is actually not up at the moment. There is Lee Sin right at the front of him. Guardian Angel is up, Jax's is up, Diana just finished off hers. So Mousesports really treading a thin line with this one. Horo actually landing his Q onto Shen, which is probably not the target that he was looking for out of that one. The inhibitor respawns and SK Telecom saying, well, we're here now, we might as well go for it. Oh, Diana actually getting silenced up there. Reaper taking a good chunk of damage, but look at him, he doesn't actually really take any damage. If I'm just telling a lie from that one, the fight all going to kick off. There goes the crescendo down. Corky actually forced to get away. JWoww going to go very low. Can they finish him before Shen comes in? Yes, pretty much they can. And now Dedrin is very low. There's another kill coming down. Phylox is going to die. It's now 2 men underneath the turret, and they are falling. Moma going to get dove on as well. And Jax may just have his GA pop. No, of course he's not going to, because he's just got so much health. There are the Nexus turrets. The Nexus itself is going to go down. And SK Telecom, after a 40-minute game here, going to take down Mousesports for game number 1 in Group A of the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne.
And look at them, they look very happy right now. We saw some clapping and stuff, but Mousesports' lineup, it just wasn't really set for this. If they had a Vayne or a Kog'Maw who can really put out the damage, one of those hyper AD carries, it would have been a completely different game. But Ezreal just doesn't have the upfront damage he needs. As you see right there, he's working towards his last Whisper in the end. That was the problem. They were so tanky, but they lacked the damage they needed.
Yeah, and Reaper got off to the perfect start as well, getting in there for that first blood. Massive CS advantage that he had throughout the entire game. Got up to 280 when he compared that to the 220 from Shen. You know, it was pretty much that kind of gap all the way through the mid in towards the late game. But that's enough of our analysis. We're going to throw it over to the real analysis desk now, and they're going to break down that first game.
Okay.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So, turned out kind of how as we expected, but Mouse put up a good fight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They almost looked like they were a little bit ahead, or at least keeping in there for a very long time. And what would you say, generally, can you summarize for us what was the turning point for SK?
I think they were like, Mousesports were leading for 1K, almost 1K, and then it was a team fight in the right side, in the bottom side. We can see it on the screen.
Sure. I mean, might as well go straight to the replay. Why not? If you want the action, let's get straight to it.
This is the point that Mousesports were leading almost for 1K. They were pushing, and at that moment, there is a wild Jax trying to engage. I think if they try to focus Jax down with Cho'Gath Feast, Cho'Gath Silence, with Ezreal Ultimate and with Leona CC, they can pretty much like shut Jax down in 1 second, but they didn't. And it was like the perfect teamfight for SK, that they tried to focus Diana, and she had Stonias for stop that. And it was just amazing teamfight by SK, mainly because I will say Diana is really strong champion, more with Stonias. They did perfect teamfight.
And then of course the cleanup, and The Ace.
Yeah, you can't escape them. I mean, we mentioned it at the start. They're a team that dive in, and once they sort of catch you, get the resets, carry on diving through. You're not going to be able to escape them. So, Mouse nearly got themselves back into it. They had a couple of occasions. They had the fight over blue where they actually came out, I think, 3 for 1. Then they pushed the bottom lane, but then they got caught by Diana. So it seems to be every time they tried to create something, the Koreans were ready for them. SKTelecom seemed to be ready. So looking at that, though, it was a pretty close game.
Yeah, it was.
How are we faring, the two teams now in the groups?
I don't know. I think like SK Telecom, I expect them to be like stronger, let's say. Anyhow, so I feel like Millennium can shut down SK Telecom right now.
What would you say, just a question to you as a pro gamer, what you saw from SK Telecom coordination-wise? Because I think that they're mechanically strong players, that's not a question.
Yep.
They're Koreans, but they're also high elo Koreans, so they are obviously going to be mechanically strong. Just from your perspective as a pro gamer, did you like the coordination that we saw out of SK Telecom here?
In the last team fights, yes. Like in the team fight they did on the bottom, in that team fight we saw, it was like perfect. Diana played perfect, Jax played perfect. They did amazing, but in the previous team fights, they didn't impress me that much, at least. I don't know, it was like, in blue they get Mousesports, they get the 3 for 1 that Diman said, and it was just off of Mousesports. Like, Mousesports did perfect, and SK just did nothing. Just fall behind, fall in that team fight that Mouse wanted. Mouse wanted to do CC, Cho'Gath ultimate, Cho'Gath did everything, and they did it. It was perfect for them. So I don't know.
You don't know? You don't know. So let's see how they do come back from this one. Obviously, Fnatic and Millennium, the other teams within that group, they're going to be looking at that match. What would you take from it? What would you analyze and say, okay, we can do this better, or we can pick this, or maybe any champions potentially banned?
I will say Diana. I will say.
Yeah, I mean, and
I don't know. It's not that problem. I mean, Lee Sin did one good move with the flash and the kick on Leona. That's beautiful. But still, yeah, it was really beautiful.
I'm on a one-man campaign to get Lee Sin banned from every game.
And Jason, we heard
throughout Riot Games.
But still, for me, that Diana is completely broken, and I feel he's gonna get banned. And next matches, let's see how it goes. I will love to see Evan Pike or even Tabs playing Diana, because both players play extremely good Diana.
So from Mousesports' perspective, how are they going to come into this one? So their next match will be, they'll have a bit of a break. They've got another 2 matches ahead of them, but they're going to be placing Millennium next. So obviously they're going to be watching the next game pretty intently, but how are they going to take anything from that?
I guess they have to stop Tabs playing the assassin, so I don't know. They need to come back somehow. They need to try to win Millennium somehow, and then let's see if they have intention to go to the group stage.
Daniel, any thoughts?
I'm just going to go ahead and agree with Ara here, but I honestly actually do. Yeah, I think that's maybe we saw a little bit of nerves in the beginning of the game for the Koreans, because that seems to be the pattern that Aaron is pointing out here. They were not good at first, and they showed perfect coordination later on. So maybe what happened there is that they just needed a little bit of time to warm up to European soil here. I don't know if they've played in Europe before, but potentially, I think that we can still see absolutely great things coming out of it.
Yeah, I mean, and let's not forget, this is their first tournament as a team. This is their first ever tournament, their first ever showing. They've got a massive sponsoring behind them in SKTelecom. If you're not aware of these guys, they are enormous in the StarCraft world. You know, they are the broadcasting main people in Korea. So these are big teams that come into this. Obviously, CJ Entus being the other one that's here. These are huge teams that are starting to come into League of Legends. And from League of Legends perspective, that's fantastic. But the pressure that's got to put on you guys as players. I mean, how much sort of pressure, when you were going into a tournament, say Season 2, prime example, how much pressure were you guys on, you know, getting up in the morning? I've got to win these games.
Hey, you just wake up like early morning, and you are like, early morning. I was going to say
Spanish.
Late night. I was going to say late night, because I actually woke up like at 3 or 4, like with the pressure of the finals, and you're like you have to win this. You have so many people in your back, so many people. It's so many things in your back. You need to win that.
So
it's a lot of pressure.
Anyway, without further ado, we do have an interview with one of the players. So let's pass over to Zoe. See what it is.
All right, we're on apparently. So, I'm sitting here with Jason, and also, I'm saying that on purpose, and of course the team leader from the team SKTelecomT1, which is Rupert, who showed us a very, very good game there. You guys won, and yeah, let's just talk a little bit about the games beforehand. We're still currently waiting for a translator for Rupert, so at first it's just going to be us talking about it. You've been casting it, and I think you weren't the only person who was a bit surprised at the, well, about the early game and also mid-game, as it didn't look as convincing as some people would have thought it would be.
Kind of confused if I should answer that or kind of give my opinion, because Rupert could probably do a better job than I can. But, I mean, early game, we did see their top and mid lane win. We saw the bot lane, fortunately, lose a little bit, but because of this man here, he kind of turned it around by visiting the lane quite a bit. And they ended up pretty much turning the game around because of that. Corki was down, I believe 0-2. Ezreal was 3-0 at that point, and came out the victory.
It did. Who would you have picked as the favorite? I mean, I know a lot of people. I've been worried about Mousesports maybe not doing too great, mostly against such a big team. Although the team is kind of new as it is, or joined SKTelecomT1 just recently, within the last few days, I think even. Was that sure for you guys casting it that one of them is going to be a favorite, or did you think it's even?
Well, I mean, what can I say? It's Reaper. He's from Izubu Blaze.
Fair enough.
He has a lot more experience than probably Joe, myself, Demon, Xenon, Arnett put together. They were actually the favorites, as Joe and I were mentioning. Mousesports, though, they played a great game. Didn't really. I was really surprised they actually had it so even early on. But because of their lack of damage, like I was saying during the cast, they just couldn't, pull the game out.
Right, so we're still waiting for the translator. Well, would you be fine doing it in English or trying it?
No, I need it.
I
need him.
You need him?
Yeah.
We need him. Well, okay, let's make it quick and very easy then.
Yeah.
Did you run a certain strategy, or whilst the pick and bans were going on, did you have your lineup set up before, or did you actually go for counter picks?
Counter picks?
Counter picks?
I don't care.
You don't? All right, he just doesn't care.
Jack's too strong.
Yeah, you were playing Jack, so I have to say you really did a great job at that. Is that something you wanted to do anyway, or was Jack's a counter pick?
Counter picks? Jack? For Jax?
Yeah.
Vladimir and...
No.
Did you choose Jax to counter Shen, or did you play him just because Jax is overpowered?
Yeah. I did counter him.
Okay, it was a counter pick. Well, then, as the translator just decided to not be involved in this conversation, that was still good to know, so thanks a lot for joining us. So we'll let you get back to the game. So give it up for Team SKTelecomT1, who just won the first one. We're gonna get into the second game anytime soon, but before we're gonna throw it into a commercial break.